Steve Jobs died a couple of days ago, and I just feel compelled to say something, although I don't really have a lot to say, because you can Google for the story of his life and quotes and all that. I don't feel I need to bring you up to speed on what Steve Jobs did in his life. But nonetheless, being a techie myself, a nerd, here's my shirt that my daughter bought me. Nerds forever, 2 squared ever. I'm making light of it because, life goes on. And one of the lessons, or one of the quotes that came out of this was Steve Jobs said, stay hungry, stay foolish. He said he lived every day as if it were his last, and he looked in the mirror every day, and if he didn't like what he was doing for any number of days, he would do something to change it. And not a lot of us are like that. We tend to settle for things, and he didn't settle. So, but here I go. Now I'm starting to digress and talk about all those things I said I wasn't going to talk about, because you've probably heard it before. All I want to do, in a kind of corny fashion, I'm sitting here in my garage because Steve Jobs and Steve Wozniak started Apple in a garage. Not a proverbial garage, an actual garage. Anybody who says the American dream isn't alive isn't really paying attention. I'm also recording this on my iPhone as a tribute, and also because, I record a lot of things on my iPhone. Sitting in front of a stack of Wired magazines. I used to get Wired all the time back in the day. Back in the day. I've been a techie my entire life, and that's really one of the big things I wanted to say, is the first computer I ever owned was an Apple II back in the late 70s, early 80s. One of the first programs I recall writing was when I got out of college, and I was 21 years old, and I wrote a program to figure out how many 6-packs of beer I could buy after all my bills were paid. So that was a great use of technology. Since then, I've gone on to do things that were somewhat more important, but the fact that I've been able to make a living for the past years or so in an industry that Steve Jobs was very instrumental in growing, I'm really thankful for that. And I know that there's other very bright and creative people in the technology industry, and Steve Jobs didn't do it single-handedly, but it's really hard to think of any other individual who played such a big role in growing the industry and in changing our lives. And it's not even just about techies anymore. I mean, the impact it had especially in the past decade, with the iPod and the iPhone and the iPad, and almost single-handedly took over the music industry. Any number of things, and darn, I'm doing it again. I'm starting to talk about all those things you can Google yourself. The main thing I want to leave you with is just I want to pay tribute, just add my name to the list of people paying tribute, and say thank you, Steve. Don't know if you can hear me, but the spirit is there. Just thank you. And even though this isn't exactly like losing a family member, because I lost my mom several years ago, and there's nothing as devastating as that. My heart goes out to Steve's family, his kids and his wife and all of his friends, because there's nothing like losing a family member. But this is still a loss, and I'm feeling there is a mourning period for those of us who appreciated what he did and who appreciate what he did. And that's it. I just feel as somebody who's made in my career for my entire adult life working in an industry that he played such a big part in that I couldn't let this week go by without paying tribute to him. And I would have felt really silly doing some comedy skit about some silly observation I made this week. Yeah. So that's it. Babblingly yours. Thank you, Steve.